Living in poverty does not make a person free and pious. The ownership means that we do not live in the middle of things and do not drown in them. Hello and welcome back to Health Relaxing Tube. In this video we will talk about self-talk or self-conversations. Self-talk or self-conversation is one of the biggest causes of health or disease in our body. And of course, the conversation we have with others is very important, whether it is negative or positive, because of the power of words and power of thought, which is very effective. The conversations we make within ourselves occur during times of stress, or perhaps before or after that. Here are some types. The first type of conversation is the demands and expectations we have of ourselves or those around us. It is related to life or the environment, or in any case to the relevant authorities that dominate. This is because we usually want something that exists to be different, like when we say it was better to be different than this, or it should be this way, or it should not be this way. We constantly want to change everything. All the factors in our lives can play this role, such as home, spouse, children, parents, job, neighbor, and many other things. We want them to be in line with our ideals in our minds. And because they are not, we end up upset. Usually our wants and desires are what we do not have and want to have, or what we want to have in the future. They all talk about ownership. And for the same reason that we cannot own, we are depressed, worried and anxious. Here internal conversations begin. We need to know that there is really nothing and no person in the world that we own. In general, when we came to this planet, we did not own anything, and when we leave here, we do not own anything to take with us. If we can think this way, then we will not be upset by anything. A sense of ownership creates a sense of belonging, which can cause a lot of discomfort. These dependencies trigger the onset of addiction and attachments or various habits. If we can get to the point where we think about all these demands and feelings, that there is no ownership, there is no belonging, we can be an awake and free human being. Of course, this does not mean that we do not try for a better life and prosperity in the world. Or it does not mean that poverty or living in poverty makes a person free and pious. The feeling of ownership means that we do not live in the middle of things and do not drown in them, so that without them we would not have a human existence. We will strive for the means of living and well-being and use the achievements for perfection, happiness and prosperity. This is against poverty. Ownership means that we do not belong to ourselves, and that our existence is tied to things or desires we have. This is worse than poverty. As you can see, there are many people who are materially rich but very poor in terms of humanity or personality and knowledge. The second type of mental conversation is denial, which is very destructive and puts a lot of stress and strain on our emotions, and leads to many diseases. In such a way that we deny all the things that happen in our lives that are not our preference and acceptance. For example, we say no, it's not like that, I do not believe it happened, or I do not believe this person did it, or I do not understand how someone does it. We also sometimes completely deny our actions, and end up denying many things in our lives that we do not understand or comprehend. The best we can do is have a reality check and pay attention to the facts. If we are aware of the realities of our lives and accept them, we do not always seek to deny them. As we all know, not everyone and everything is perfect, and there can always be mindsets that keep us from seeing the truth, which often stem from our past beliefs or from our optimism or pessimism. Coping with the realities of our lives is often much easier than making illusions or judgments or denying them. The third type is related to reactions, overreactions or exaggerations. What happens to us is we exaggerate what is happening and magnify them. As we review them every time, they become even more horrible. And every time we define it for someone, it gets bigger and bigger. The bigger we make the issue, the weaker we become, because the problem seems bigger to us. Also, it is our mindset to believe what is good or bad. When you give 50 people an equal opportunity, you will see that those 50 people will react 50 differently. Shakespeare says, "There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so." One of the best ways we can deal with this, is to pay attention and believe that nothing in this world is worth worrying about. Many times when we are very upset about something, we do not notice that we can easily deal with it without fighting. Sometimes it is much easier to eliminate an issue than to fight it or even fix it. It is very difficult for us as long as we are inside the problem, but as soon as we take ourselves out of the circle of the problem and look at it from the outside, we will see that it is not so big and uncomfortable and it can be easily removed or correct. The problem starts when we get stuck in this circle and make the issue bigger and bigger with the mental conversations molded on us, which is not the real. Just remember that nothing in life is as big and important as you think. Everything that bothers you is in your control if you learn to control mental conversations and overreact. The good way is to look at objective flows rather than subjective. Einstein says, "Life is a tragedy when seen in close-up, but a comedy in long shot." The fourth type is always or never. In a way that we live all the time either in the past or in the future. Depending on past experiences or worries about the future, I say always or never. For example, I say I always did this and the result was this, or I could never finish what I started. Finally, we make a judgment based on our inner and mental conversations, and in this way we build our future. This can create two destructive states in our lives. One is that something bad has happened, and the other is that there is nothing we can do about it. We have tied our hands and feet with our own mentality and we are handcuffing our hands with our own minds. And I say we cannot do anything about it. It's like holding the brakes and gas pedals same time while driving. The relationship between stress and mental conversations is clear. Stresses come from negative mental conversations that are embedded in our beliefs. This causes us to judge each case, and to put the body in a state of readiness and stress. So our negative mental conversations are directly related to stress, and both occur in our minds. It is good to know that our negative mental conversations and the stress caused by them are not real, and even we are able to overcome them. This is exactly what is done in meditation. In good meditation we should be completely away from thinking in mind and mental conversations, and just watch them pass. In proper meditation we do not allow thoughts either good or bad to overwhelm or control us, but to realize that we are not the mind and that our mind is a series of chemical interactions that occur in the brain, is an important step in understanding correct meditation. In future videos, we will definitely discuss meditation. Thank you for being with me so far in this video. Please leave your comments, suggestions or questions in this subject. Thank you for being with me. If the content of this video was useful, please consider to like and subscribe. Happy food, happy body.